Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be going over some updates for the new car market and some brands that obviously sell within the new car market because it's getting pretty interesting. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. So the big headline figure today from Cox Automotive is that new car inventory has stabilized. So June ended with about 1.95 million new vehicles available for sale, which was a 53-day supply. So this means it would take 53 days to settle all of the new car inventory. And then there's an average listing price of $47,571. Now, the big thing is that total number of cars and the day supply number. Both of those have been pretty consistent throughout most of this year. And so that's why they are stating that things have, kind of stabilized. And what this article also states is that a 60-day supply of cars is considered ideal. So we're not quite at ideal. We're still a little bit below, but we're pretty dang close to ideal. And so, this kind of goes along with what I've been talking about in the channel where, the car market's not really doing all that much right now. It's actually a pretty boring place, at least on the new side of things. But there is definitely some differences between different segments within the new car market. So first off, EVs, we've talked about this, have the biggest day supply number, over 100-day supply. Now, this excludes Tesla. This is a comment that I've seen quite often is people say, well, Tesla's day supply number is significantly lower, and that is true, but Tesla also sells direct to consumer, and so they're not included in these stats. This is just automakers that sell through dealerships. So again, you look at the EVs from the legacy automakers, like some of you like to call them. Well, they are not selling as well as the average vehicle in today's market. And it's pretty interesting, the difference between some of the EVs. So for example, GM's EVs actually have a pretty small day supply number. The Cadillac Lyriq, which is a luxury EV, only a 50-day supply number, so half of the national average for EVs. And then you look at the Bolt EV, less than 23-day supply, so less than a 30-day supply on that. So some EVs are selling quite well in the market, but most of them not so well. I mean, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, 116-day supply on that one, which I find quite interesting. Now, the other segment in the market that is kind of struggling is luxury cars. They have a 62-day supply, so it's not like they're mega struggling, but there are more luxury cars available. And this is a trend that seems to be increasing as time goes on. There seems to be less and less interest in luxury cars. Now, there is a graph that shows all of the brands basically with their day supply number. And, well, you guys guessed it, at the beginning of the graph, there is still Toyota and Honda and Kia that just don't really have any vehicles. They're all less than a 30-day supply. So most of the automakers that have a really small day supply number are all pretty much Japanese brands, and they're non-luxury brands. There are some luxury brands in there like Lexus and BMW, for example. They still don't have a lot of cars, and there's Volkswagen, there's Hyundai, there's Land Rover, Chevrolet. They're all below the national average. Now, if we go to the far end of the graph, so the manufacturers that have the most day supply, things have actually shifted quite a bit. So Jaguar now has the biggest day supply in the country. It looks like they're they're well over 100-day supply. And then that's followed by several other luxury makers, so Lincoln and Infiniti. And then you've got Buick. And then we've got a bunch of Stellantis brands. We've got Ram and Chrysler and Dodge. And then Audi is actually a luxury automaker as well that has a pretty big day supply. That's interesting because, you always kind of think like Audi versus BMW when it comes to comparisons, but I guess that, Audi's not selling as fast as BMW. But the one that I think is the most interesting out of this graph that I probably need to make a dedicated video about is Jeep. Their day supply number has dropped down drastically. So if you guys remember, their day supply number with last month's stats was like 155 days, and now it's 77 days. So whatever Jeep has done, and I'll kind of talk about that in a dedicated video, has definitely worked because they literally just cut their inventory in half when it comes to the day supply number. That is quite impressive. And then moving on from that, the last thing that I want to quickly mention about this whole data set is that they basically say, based on this data, that it looks like things are, again, going to kind of remain like this towards the rest or throughout the rest of the year. Things, again, the whole point of this article is that things have stabilized, and that's where I'll dive into my personal opinion on what I am seeing happening and what I think is going to happen moving forward. So first off, in terms of the whole stability argument, I think it's a really strong argument given everything that's happening in the market. Yes, it looks like interest rates are going to increase a bit, which is going to dampen affordability, but the interest rate increases happen in conjunction with an increase in manufacturer incentives. Like, it seems like every single time we get a rate hike, manufacturers come out and go basically, hey, we've got another little discount to throw on the vehicle. And so with that kind of like being in line right now in today's market, I'm honestly not too worried about the interest rate side of things, because with where rates are at right now, people are still buying cars, and from the sounds of what's coming from the government, it doesn't seem like we're going to have massive rate hikes. It seems like going to be little rate hikes that automakers and dealerships are going to be able to navigate around by releasing discounts that basically offset the increase in interest. Hopefully that makes sense. But as for some other stuff that we're seeing trend-wise, I think the trend of the legacy automakers EVs not selling very well is going to continue until these legacy automakers are able to make more affordable EVs that are able to compete with Tesla a little bit better. Because here's the deal. A lot of these EVs that were released over the course of the pandemic were, frankly, in my opinion, better than Tesla when Tesla's pricing was a lot higher. But now that Tesla's pricing is significantly lower because of all their price cuts this year, it makes Tesla look a lot better compared to the competition, because it's like, oh yeah, that vehicle drives better than the Tesla, has more features than the Tesla, but now it's more expensive than the Tesla. And so then you kind of get pulled back because the Tesla ends up being the bargain EV to go for. So I think that's definitely something that needs to happen there, and that it's going to basically push forward this trend of a high day supply number with the EVs with legacy automakers. And then as for, the luxury cars basically having a larger day supply number, I think this is only going to continue into the future, because there's just not nearly as much excitement behind luxury cars right now. Because, again, from what I'm seeing from a review standpoint, luxury automakers aren't really doing all that much right now. Like, they're not reinventing the wheel too much right now. Like, there's not a lot of exciting stuff happening in the luxury world, and a lot of these luxury automakers have increased their prices a lot. They're doing exactly what Jeep did over the course of the pandemic, where they increased their prices a bunch without changing too much on the vehicles. And so I think this is going to continue to dampen the amount of people that want to purchase these luxury cars, because it's like, oh, now it's this much more expensive, and it's barely, it's marginally better. It's not really better. Nothing's really changed on it. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but I think we're going to continue to see a buildup of luxury car inventory, and we're going to continue to see a pullback of buyers from luxury cars. Let me know what you guys think about this whole data set. I'll see you.